Well, well. Hello, good morning, everybody. Actually, I don't know why I just said good morning. We're not even live right now. I'm recording, and I wanted to drop a very special episode. And so it's just me solo today with someone that this audience is very familiar with from over the years, Mike Lindell. Look at there he is.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, buddy. It's been a long time. Who would have thought? Here you start a pillow company, it comes on the radar. I start doing a stupid impression on the air. Hi, I'm Mike Lindell from My Pillow. And it takes off. The audience loves it. It's hilarious. And one guy reached out and was like, dude, wait till you hear this guy's backstory, and sent me an article. And it was like, oh, we got to talk to this guy. Next thing I know, we're on a plane to Minnesota, touring your facilities. We've got a cardboard cutout, 6-foot Mike Lindell thing, which got stolen from my house, by the way. I had listeners over one day, and they stole it.
We'll have to get you another one.
So how are you, Mike? It's great to see you.
I'm doing great. Yeah, I've really lived the American dream on steroids, going from an ex-crack cocaine addict to the pillow company selling over 85 million My Pillows. But of course, that was the numbers went down now. I mean, it slowed down because of all the attacks on My Pillow being the number one attack company in history. But,
yeah.
It's been quite a journey. I know from when I wrote my book, I think it ended in 2017, the summer of 17, where the book ends, and it says to be continued. If you'd have told me the next 8 years were almost going to be more bizarre than the first 50-some years, I would have said that's impossible.
Well, I believe it. It's been outside of, I don't know, maybe Nick Fuentes, maybe President Trump himself. Has anyone been more canceled, more that they tried to get rid of more than Mike Lindell?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I was attacked by the machine companies. I was canceled by almost every box store in the country when I was raising my hand in January of 2021, saying, hey, we have a stolen election. We've got problems. We've got to get rid of the voting machine. I was sued for billions of dollars. My company was sued. And then it's called Operation Arctic Frost.
Yeah.
Our own government attacked My Pillow, Mike Lindell, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point, 9 senators, and all these other individuals that wanted to have secure elections and that had Donald Trump's back. And that happened in 2022. And it cost My Pillow over $200 million. And we were debanked. Vendors called to cancel us. They called our vendors and threatened our vendors. This is our own government. The FBI took my cell phone, surrounded me at a fast food restaurant. It just
what
went on.
On the grounds of what was the fear? What was the threat, Mike? That like every Democrat that's ever lost an election in my lifetime has said something was fishy with this election. Right. It was stolen. It was rigged. Something.
Because I was right over target and still am. 132 countries have banned electronic voting machines in their elections. The last one being Argentina in 2022, freed their whole country. And over 100 countries have banned early voting and mail-in voting. We in the United States have the worst election platforms in the world. No one's even close. You can go to third world countries that have fairer elections. Yeah. So that's what I've been fighting for. I set up a team of 300,000 people called the Cause of America in all 50 states. 5 years ran it. We turned into to the president last February a book about this thick of all of our findings. And as you see right now, where it all started in Venezuela, it's all coming out now. And working with the president, we're going to get there, you guys. We're going to have secure elections. I won't stop until we are the model for the world. And
we should be.
But that's why they attacked me. That's why people say, after Donald Trump won the 2024 election, everyone goes, Mike, you've been vindicated. You got what you want. No, I'm not vindicated. They turned up the attacks. Our attorney general in Minnesota, Keith Ellison, one of the most evil, corrupt guys that ever walked the face of the earth, he's attacked my Lindell Recovery Network, my foundation, My Pillow. I mean, it hasn't stopped. And all you have to ask yourself is why. It's because I won't stop talking about getting to secure our elections. It's not about Donald Trump. He's already in power. Yeah. So I've been right over target, and they know that. And if I would have shut up, Yeah.
They didn't want to have the conversation. That was the most disturbing part.
Right.
None of
Yeah.
it made sense that night. And I don't care. I think it worked out for the best that
Yeah.
election
Well,
happened and then Trump got in 4 years later. I think it's even better.
oh,
So,
it's way better. It
yeah.
was a blessing, a hidden blessing. I've told the president this, as we've talked many times. I said that if you'd have been put in back then right away on December 14th or January 6th, we'd have lost our country forever. We needed these last 4 or 5 years to watch everything open up. All the crime, or the people needed to see how bad it could be before we can change and get the onion got opened up, so to speak. And the president learned a lot in 4 years. He was prepared.
Was he ever?
Yeah.
And now, so I should probably start with, first off, mypillow.com, promo code TDC. There's Lindell TV. There's so many products. It's hopefully on the comeback, bigger than ever. MikeLindellGov.com. Who would have thought? I remember talking to you, your story, running a bar with a bunch of hooligans in Minnesota, partying your ass off, and then settling down, getting your shit together, and running a company. It's the American dream. Yeah. Here we are all these years later, now staring down politics. First off, was it worth it? Because you were well on your way to becoming an American billionaire, and have gone through, I don't know how you don't go back onto using again with everything you went through. Like, was it worth it? Because you could have just stayed that course. You'd be a billionaire by now.
Yeah.
Family, it'd be easier for your family, your employees, all of it.
Yeah. Well, once you've seen what I saw, and I would have lost everything anyway. They did a thing at one of the cases this last spring, said the crooked attorney said to the jury, the last thing they heard, now y'all know Mike Lindell was worth over $100 million net worth, and now it's minus 10 million. But we're asking you for $60 million for him defaming us. This is a voting machine company. And if it bankrupts MyPillow and Mike Lindell, so be it, because we need to send a message to the country. You don't put out disinformation about our elections. The media has asked me many times, if you could turn back, would you, now that you've just been completely ruined, or, to taken everything destroyed, or from where it was to where it is now, would you change your mind? I said, absolutely not. I never would. I've done what I was supposed to do, and I'm still doing it. And the message here is, I'm still standing. My company, MyPillow's still here. They're not going anywhere. In fact, when I prayed, my wife and I prayed about running for governor or not last August, and my prayer was, hey, Lord, if I'm supposed to do this, I want MyPillow safe. The last year, all I've even done is it's been shot full of holes, is trying to right the ship. And it's just take great leadership, great team of people I've had with MyPillow to keep it going. And now we're in a safe place. We're in a secure place where I can walk away and go over here and put 100% into running for governor, winning, and putting everything into MyPillow. So I wouldn't change a thing. And everyone's going, wow, that's a big statement. Well, everyone sees how tenacious and I would never back down, because if you knew what I knew, I don't think anybody would. You'd go, what? And you said it earlier, the Democrats have brought up Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota here. She was the leader on that, naming the machine companies in 2018. 4 companies control our whole election, and they're all parts, everything made overseas and monitored overseas. We need to get rid of them. She was in the movie Kill Chain, said this. All of a sudden, after the 2020 election, they all went silent. What?
Yeah.
And they didn't get sued for it,
Yeah. No, it's incredible to watch from afar. I just don't know. It seems it's so divided in this country that, people will cut off their nose to spite their face. It can hurt Mike Lindell or an American company, then who cares? Let election fraud go. Not worth dealing with. The Democrats bitched about election fraud for my whole growing up.
2 decades. And the thing is that's the media out there, this media that has hid that. They use lawfare to hide all this. And I believe if you talk to anyone, I don't care what party they're in, I think this is more like an 80 or an 80-20 or a 90-10 thing, where everybody want secure elections. You want to know, that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
And you might have people over here going, well, boy, I want to keep the machines. I want to keep our early voting and stuff because our party can win. It's the only way we can win. But that I fully expected, and I didn't get it. After Donald Trump won the 2024 election, I wanted everybody, all the Democrats, to stand up and say, let's look into this to see if there was any fraud. Let's open up these machines.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I would have welcomed that. So
you must have thought that at first, like, oh, they're going to jump on board. We'll all get behind this as a country.
Yes,
we'll fight together. Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
In fact, I thought, I really believed if they would have sold the election, they did steal 9 senators or 9 congressmen and 4 senators and a lot of votes from Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if people believe me or not. We have our guys. We know how to monitor all this with cyber guys and everything, and it's been monitored. And the machine's got to go regardless. And we're well on our way. Texas has 5 counties now that are going to use paper ballots, hand counted, in the primaries, so we'll have a good prototype to show the country. And you guys don't confuse this with hand-marked paper ballots. We have hand-marked paper ballots in our state.
Yeah, they count them electronically.
They're counted electronically, and they always cheat by enough where you can't do a recount anyway. It's all corrupt. And then they'll say, well, how are you going to win the in Minnesota governor if these are in place? There's a lot of reasons, and as things come pouring out here over the next month, you're going to see a lot of stuff come out of D.C., out of this administration. Now, the evidence that I put out, you've seen now where Georgia came out. This was in the news. And I don't know if it was on Fox News, who doesn't talk about anything, and newsman who won't talk about elections because of lawfare. But anyway, it came out of Georgia. Sure enough, they admitted 250,000 ballots were corrupted in the 2020 election. And then you have the whistleblowers came out from Venezuela, Smartmatic. They're in the news. They were tried now. They're charged. All Smartmatic, though, as a company, has been indicted and charged for crimes against Philippines and all over the place. So all this stuff is coming out, and I think what it's going to take is when the president does the next executive order concerning this, I think all people, it's educating them and showing, getting the evidence all out there first, because it does, this isn't just the 2020 election, just telling, hey, here's what this is, and really showing the people. Then I don't care who you are. You're going to want secure elections. I'm okay with who wins as long as we know it's a real election and not a selection.
Totally agree. So when you look back, Mike, do you think, because I have a theory on it, that it wasn't just your support of Trump that they hated so much about you and MyPillow. Do you think your Christian faith had something to do with it too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My Christian faith. You see that happening right now with Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota. He's going after and he has for a year and a half now, my Christian Recovery Network, which is LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. It's to get people out of addiction to Jesus Christ. And this has been going on. They started attacking me for wearing my cross on TV back before I even gave my
the
life.
Blue shirt and the cross.
Right, so that's part of it, and you look at Minnesota, we're the Trojan horse for Sharia law. They're trying to do that here, and our businesses have to deal with this, and this is something as governor that I will also be fighting. I think there's 20 states now that have banned Sharia law if it interferes with our Constitution. Minnesota needs to be on that list. Every state needs to be on that list.
Yeah,
because we can't. But yeah, you're exactly right. That's part of it. The biggest reason, is it even kind of switched from President Trump over to the fact that I want to go to paper ballots and count it. When you can steal a country without firing a shot through stolen elections, and that's what they did in Venezuela in the early 2000s, the first country they took, this beautiful country, all of a sudden, boom, you're done. How are you ever going to get someone in power when they control the devices?
Yeah. Well, I think we're one of only 2 countries in the world or something that that even uses the electronic
No. There's 132 countries have banned them. The last one being Argentina,
Right.
which freed their country. But there's still other countries out there that are using it in one form or another. But they're all going more and more to get rid of them because
Yeah.
they know what you can do in this day and age with computers. Even Elon Musk, a year and a half ago, when we gave him all our stuff and showed him, he came out, this is 6 months before the election, and said, and here's a computer guy going, they cannot be used in elections because they're backdoors to everything.
Of course.
You can say, well, ATMs are safe forever. Yeah, but the people, there's a back door to them. When you have a problem with your bank account, you go to your bank, the first thing they do is look into the computer.
Yeah.
But when you have these companies, these government contractors, these machine companies that won't allow you to see this proprietary source code, it's over. It doesn't matter. All of them have back doors.
Well, you have plenty going on with running a company, getting it back to hopefully where it was before MyPillow. Why did you decide, like, I got to throw my hat in the ring and run for governor in Minnesota, which is a blue state?
Well, here's I have my team out there. When you talk about the election platforms with Cause America, it's 300,000 strong. I have MyPillow in a great place. We had to downsize and fit our sales with our expenses, and and so that's in a secure place. And so that had to happen first, where I keep going there. But for Minnesota, I believe like it's the tip of the spear for the country. And I remember I announced on December 11th, before all this fraud came out and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, if you ever see the movie Armageddon, have you seen that movie?
Probably years ago.
Okay. Well, anyway, in the movie, Bruce Willis says that he's got to go save the world or whatever with this asteroid. It's with the theme of the movie. But he says, I'll do it, but I have to. And they say, well, why are you doing it? Because I don't trust anybody else to do it right. And that's where I'm at. I think I think I have all the solutions to the problems that I've lived with having a business here. I have solutions for the addicts, the inner city, the homeless. When I came out of addiction, all the stuff I did then, worked with and by the way, I have a solution to the welfare programs once you get rid of the fraud, to replace them with a private sector government combination, which saves about 60% of the money for the state. And I think it'll be copied with, I've talked to the president, probably used for the country. It's an amazing thing. And by the way, I started that in Detroit. The prototype, I did it in Detroit back in the day, and we worked with the people in the inner city and people that were on the welfare program. They got off of them, and we had people in the private sector that, people want to help, but they want to help things that
Mike, I remember when we came to Minnesota, it was Jay and Eric and myself, and you were so nice with your time and your team and touring us around. And then you were like, I got a lunch meeting about the Lindell Recovery Network. And you were like, You guys want to join us? And you had us three knuckleheads sit in, and you had like inner city, boots on the ground people in there.
Yeah.
You were just, whiteboard with bullet points. You were
we
all
were
into it.
whiteboarding it then. We were right. That was the genesis of this amazing program. And that it's been like a parked car for 5 years now, because when the virus came, we kind of parked that. And then of course, after that came the election, 2020 election, and then I had to dive into that. But what a beautiful time to bring that back. And that's what I've been running on. I've been running on that, going, hey, you can take all the fraud out. That's $9 billion. But let's look into these welfare programs and see if they're actually, if they work, if you're getting a good return on the investment, if you're really helping people. And then let's get private money put in too, because people want to help, but they want to help specific things. There's things I don't want my tax dollars going to. I don't want it to go to this. I don't believe in this, but maybe someone else does. And if they know 100% of their money is going to help them, and the overhead is paid by, i.e. the government. Back then I was the government. Remember, I paid all the expenses. And so that's an amazing program. And then there's other things too, like me being a business owner, healthcare in Minnesota, and I'm sure around the country, it's absolutely too high. It has to come down. I have great ideas for our sales tax. I have great idea for getting people back in Minneapolis and in the cities, the big cities. There was a gal that walked through Portland the other day and said, oh, we're in a safe city. And she said, because there's nobody downtown anymore. The
Yeah.
businesses like in Minneapolis, empty, people out of both fear and, maybe fear, but also out of, when you talk retail stores and small business, everybody's buying online now. And I have a great thing to do to balance that. So you're going to save more money going to the retail stores and the small businesses and getting back and engaging there rather than buying everything online, which would also, my pillow is mostly online, by the way.
Yeah.
And so it's having solutions to these problems. And, I've got like the farmers in Minnesota, they have a big problem because corn really to sustain everything needs to be at $5.50 a gallon and $5.50 a bushel. Well, we have something called sustainable aviation fuel that Minnesota would be the perfect start for that. And I met with them on this. And so what I've done the last 5 years too, I have all these programs I've looked into like a businessman should into all these. And now it's going to be like a plug-in for where our state needs it. And a lot of them can be just duplicated on the national level.
Yeah. And you think at scale, you can do that with a recovery network. I mean, there's just so much fraud. It seems like the more you see, it's like
when you're talking about the foundation, I had with my foundation, what we did, imagine everybody, hundreds of give, send, goes, and pretend those are all the welfare programs. Okay, this is your child care, this is your homeless, whatever it is. And the private sector money now is you're putting them up there, and let's say it doesn't get filled. That's where the government fills it. When we did our tests in Detroit, it saved anywhere from 40 to 60%, if I remember correctly. We tested at other places too.
What do you mean? What do you mean 40 to 60%?
But over what you would have paid that versus private people paying versus what I had to pay. Because we put it out there and said, hey, like a give, send, go. So let's say it's childcare. Okay. Let's just use that for an example. Or let's say there was a need. I remember this one need downtown Detroit. It was a cafe thing. So we put this up as a need. Now, if that was government paid, they were on a government program. So they no longer had to be, it was paid by the government. These people out here interested, you're advertising, these people go there, they go, hey, I'm going to cover this. So they covered the expenses that they covered that I didn't have to cover, being i.e. the government, was about 40 to 60%. I think that number can go even higher because here's what you really need. People like giving, but they want to give right in their back door. That's one thing is you bring that people like it, and they want to give to something that means something to them. Like for me, that's when I started out. I wanted to help the addicts get, because I myself was an addict. I wanted to get them to save. Well, so like the savings there, but one of the things that's really important is it's a vetted need. So when you talk about these welfare programs, the first thing I would do as governor is all the fraud there. That's going to probably be taken care of before I even get there next November. But let's say it's not. You take each program like it's your only program, and you dive into it and you go, okay, number one, is there any fraud left, whatever, and then the other thing is vet the program. Is it really worth even doing? Kind of like what Doge did, is the program even worth doing? And what are the how can you make it even better? I.e., don't make them dependent on the program. That's too many of these welfare programs make it dependent, and that's what people don't like because it becomes a permanent tax.
Yeah,
and
it's the same reason they put up "Don't feed the animals" at the zoo signs. Because they become dependent on it and they don't do for themselves.
Exactly.
Same philosophy.
The other thing too, in combination for that, I'll just take another thing too that's real important. But the welfare programs, I think, it's easy to put them on a massive to duplicate it. I mean, program to program, because all you're doing, it involves advertising to the private sector. That's what it involves. And I'm pretty good at that. Okay. Of the marketing. So you market this new program. And if I'm over here and I'm some millionaire and I go, wow, you know what? I'm going to put my money. This program has been vetted. I get the best bang for my buck to help whatever it is. And I'm going to pour money into this, knowing that 100% of my money is going right to the need. Remember, the government covers the overhead, which would be your your administration, all that, everything on this. And if the need's not met, they subsidize it. So let's say you don't have enough people that don't like, let's say there's something that they don't like, whatever, pick anything. You don't like, maybe they don't like the covering the homeless. Well, then the government would make up that. Maybe only 30% comes in. So it's a moving target, but overall, you're using private sector money and you're taking away reasons why they wouldn't want to give, because people do want to help. They'd rather help there than
directly.
Help directly. And remember, if you can reduce that 40%, now watch this, $9 billion worth of fraud gone. Now you take out 40% of what's left of cost. Now guess what you can do to taxes? You can property tax,
drop
maybe
it.
Income tax. Maybe Minnesota's income tax should be like other states that don't have income tax. But for one thing you would do is take away the sales tax so that these box stores and small businesses, I can go there and not have to pay that in Minnesota. But if I buy online, I'm paying that. And now you kind of balance it a little bit. They all kind of work together to bring those taxes down. And I have a great thing for healthcare. Healthcare has got to be addressed too. In Minnesota,
good luck.
the regulations in Minnesota are just bizarre. That we have to go through. You want to go get a garage door changed, and you might have 3 inspections. I mean,
God.
If you're a small business and if you're a business, all these regulations. But even for healthcare, they came out with a thing now. Your employee if they have a child or whatever to take care of your kids, you can take off 20 weeks paid. There was stuff that was pushed through in 2023 in Minnesota that, I mean, these things are just the most illogical, crazy, nonsensical things you can ever imagine. And those all got to be addressed.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch what's going on in Minnesota with the fraud and, obviously the ICE stuff going on right now. I watched your video, Mike, about, to launch your campaign. Again, if you want to support Mike and get involved and you're in that area, MikeLindellGov.com. I love what you're saying, obviously. Restore respect for law and order, remove illegals, jail those stealing from Minnesotans. But I don't know how, it seems like you have lunatics pushing against that, trying to corrupt that narrative, like against law enforcement, against going after, it's so obvious that this is bad, what's going on. Yet there seems like half the people in the state are fighting for it.
Right, but it's not half. And this is the thing. There's 2 things going on that need to be addressed. One is Minnesota needs to ban Sharia law like all these other states have banned it. Like I said before, and you need to ban that. And these people, and then you have, let's just talk the Somalians. You have a lot of them here illegal. According to Christy Noem, there could be up to 50%. So they're gone. And then you have the ones that were involved in this crime, and you put them in jail. And then if they can't assimilate and follow what we have, when you pass these states that have passed Sharia laws, if it goes against our Constitution, they either have to change and assimilate. That's what the dealing with that. But dealing with, there's things you can do in Minnesota it's very basic. And here it is, everybody. About 8 years ago, the big thing was Black Lives Matter. And they blocked up, they went after our state fair, but they did something that I thought was the craziest thing. One of our biggest highways in Minnesota is called 35W. It goes right through the heart of the city there in Minneapolis from north to south. And they let protesters block off Highway 35. It's a 5-lane highway on both sides. Now, you and I couldn't do that. You'd be arrested even standing in the road, right?
Yeah.
So they allow this to happen. My workers from the inner city could not get to work. They lost days. This went on for, I think, 2 or 3 days before they petered out. They didn't get arrested. I mean, and then you see these protesters downtown. I'm sorry, other states have laws. You want to protest, here's where you are. Some of them even make you get a permit. But here's where you go. You don't go in the middle of the roads. You make that the biggest crime. You can't protest in the roads. I'm sorry, or it's an arrestable crime. You have to do that. I believe that would stop so much from going on. In Minnesota 3 days ago, you guys, they had this black guy on there, and it came on social media to show how nonsensical this is, letting people block off. They blocked off his residential area. He couldn't get to his wife and kids, and he's out there pushing protesters out of the way. The protesters are going, and he's going, I live here. And so here's one of, these, but realize a lot of these protesters are from out of state. They're not from Minneapolis. They're hired and they're coming in here like crazy to be professional protesters like you see in Portland. And they're getting paid. So here's this guy, can't get to his house. And I think what you need to do now is it going to change these fringe people that are out there? And I don't care when you say they show on TV, 1,000, 2,000 people, maybe whatever it is, that's not a majority. These other people are shuddering in their house that, I spent a lot of time in Minneapolis back when I was an addict, and my friends and I when we got off addiction, and I spent millions of dollars with your teen challenges, your Salvation Army, your Union Gospels, helping out people to get out of addiction, to get the help they needed. Well, a lot of them had built businesses and went into legitimate businesses rather than the drug world. And they all got burned down in the summer of 2020 by
the
governor and a mayor of Minneapolis. The first thing they did was, let's burn down the precinct.
Yeah.
Law enforcement. Well, one of the advantages I'm going to have is our great mayor, a hero, Rudy Giuliani, that works for Lindell TV, works for me now over at Lindell TV, works with me, and he took New York. People remember him for 9/11. No, you need to remember what he did in New York.
I remember.
He went up against the mafia, and he made one of the most unsafe cities in the world the safest city, I believe, big city in the world. You would go into Times Square. I used to spend so much time there, and all you felt was safe.
Yeah.
He did little things. He cleaned up the garbage. You couldn't be, when you get, what is it, panhandle, you couldn't beg. You took away all this stuff, and he put the precinct right in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah.
And man, overnight it was just beautiful, and it was for years, for decades. And this is what that footprint, bringing that back to Minneapolis. That's what I want to do. You bring that back. You bring safety back. You bring common sense back. You want to protest? Good for you, Special K. Here, do it in this parking lot. Go yell your brains out, whatever. But you're not going to block off roads, residential roads, and you're not going to, you want to be heard. Here's your protest area.
It's common sense. It seems like common sense. It's obvious stuff. Like there's a way to protest. You got a First Amendment right to do so.
Absolutely.
We all agree with that. But there's a lot of things you don't get to do. I don't know. Throw rocks at police or walk in the freeway.
Break windows and block people from getting to their house. These things people need to be arrested until they stop committing crimes to protest. You don't get to commit a crime to protest something. That's the bottom line.
But these people are so ginned up, Mike. You see, like Renee Good, is it in Minnesota, the protester, like that's so obvious that this is a group of people, and it's a sad story anytime someone's killed. She obviously believed in her cause, but someone had led them to believe the answer is to follow ICE law enforcement around while they're trying to conduct business, issue a warrant. A judge is given a warrant. They've got to serve it. And you're going to follow them around and get in their way. And you can see it coming a mile away. And yet now Minnesota's half on fire because of it.
Yeah. And this is all brainwashing. This comes from the mayor of Minneapolis,
Jacob Fry,
governor, and our governor, and Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, even Elon Omar. These coming for our politicians in there. They have said, attack, go, block. They encourage it. Look what they did in the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you don't have to wear masks. You can all hug and break windows and burn things to the ground. And it comes from them, but also just as importantly, it comes from the media. The Minneapolis Star and Tribune in Minnesota should be ashamed of themselves. All the local media ashamed of themselves. When you put up things and going, this murder, ICE murder, it's a murder, really?
Yeah.
The narratives put out, and then also by what they don't show. and everyone can argue, oh, our newspaper's worse than yours or our media is worse than yours. I've lived and breathed this, you guys, for 5 years now, and more than that, of being attacked every day. I've had to use the bad media just to get the word out, because you have media over here. By them not saying nothing is just as bad as putting out something, a lie, in my
lies
line.
by omission.
Yeah,
lies by omission.
It's way worse, everybody, because people are going, if you don't see anything, all is well. You know what? You're not seeing the other side. You're not seeing the I like it when they say to these people, hey, this guy being arrested here, he murdered 3 people, and he's or whatever it is. Would you like him to stay at your house?
Yeah.
Or, hey, they're taking this. All these illegals here. Would you like to house a couple of them?
Yeah.
Hey, these Somalians that committed this fraud that you're trying to block from getting arrested. Would you like them? Would you like them to live with you? Oh, no, not today.
Yeah.
This happened at My Pillow, where I'm sitting right now. This was 5 days ago. They came out to the suburbs here in Chaska, Minnesota. And I got to work about 6:45 in the morning, and ICE was out in front. They had got a guy all the way from the cities that came out to the suburbs to avoid getting arrested. Bad guy. And there was 5 vehicles out in front on the road. But here on my private property were these protesters, and they're telling my employees, calling them Nazis and fascists.
Yeah.
Of course, until we said, leave now,
Yeah.
I mean, where is their brains, and how did they get out there? This is at 6:45 in the morning. Number one, how did they even know? I mean, they had to. I can't even imagine a local going, hey, there's cars pulled over down here. Let's get out here. It's almost like they're sitting out there ready to pounce on ICE wherever they're trying to do their job, or law enforcement.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. It makes it's sad, actually. But I will tell this to everyone. This is the biggest blessing. This will go down, I believe, but what's going on in Minnesota with the fraud and all the ICE stuff that's getting national attention will go down as one of the biggest blessings this country's ever seen. Because I always look at the good thing, the good part of it. God uses all things for good, for those who believe. These bad things going on, it's getting revealed. It's so big that people are looking at it. And because when we were getting boiled here with the fraud, this goes back to 2018, it was trying to get in the news, but it was so suppressed. But now, with all this going on, thank this lunatic Tim Walz, our governor, that running for vice president. They picked him. Evil overplays her hand. Everybody, you know what he did? Listen to this. How sensible is this? He put a statue, or allowed the Satanists to put a statue in our Capitol. You can Google it, everybody. A satanic statue in our Capitol. Right when you walk in, and his words were, well, we got to be fair. Fair to the devil?
Yeah.
Fair to the devil? You got to be, what is wrong with you?
Mike, he changed your state flag to look like a Somali flag.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, that's going to be the first thing I do as governor. We're going back to a flag, our flag. And what a shame. I mean, this is just.
What was the problem? What was the problem with your flag originally? It had like an Indian on a horse.
Okay, it's our heritage. They call it. It's racist. The narrative they use. It's racist. Really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? It's disgusting. The stuff. It's almost like I say, evil overplays its hand. Now, you guys, if this wasn't done, this infuriated people in Minnesota. And everyone says, well, Mike, why is Minnesota? What's wrong with you? You elected Ilhan Omar. No, we didn't elect Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to realize how it works when you brought in all these people, illegal and some legal, that poured into Minnesota. Remember what our governor did, everybody. He gave them all driver's licenses.
Yeah.
And then they can vote. They're not vetted. They're not, you didn't have to have shots coming in here or anything.
How did that all happen? That some little Mogadishu is what they call it. How did that happen where you guys in Minnesota, of all places, have this community of people, and all of a sudden someone like Ilhan Omar is in charge?
I think maybe, we were known as Minnesota nice. I think we just, you didn't want to make waves. When all these Somalians came in, it's like, oh, we all want to be, we want to be fair, people are people. And well, it's different. When they want Sharia law, when they want to take over And look what's happened to other countries, everybody. This isn't a joke. This is biblical, and it's horrific. What's happening down in Texas now, you took all the money that they're getting. So up here, they're taking money for the fraud, but yet when our governor shuts down the Christian churches during the China virus, but leaves the mosques open, and in buildings in Minneapolis, they ring out the call to Allah or whatever they got going on 5 times a day. They want us in our businesses to shut down our lines so they can do Sharia law and do all this. And we've seen this all coming, but we're going, but boy, you can't say anything. Another big problem is our schools. Minnesota I think we were number 6 down to 39th now. And there's a reason. You can all draw a parallel of when all this started coming on. And it was these classrooms where you got people that maybe can't speak English. You have no one there to teach them, to be the intermediate, whatever, to teach them. And they don't know anything. They come from a different culture, different everything, ethnicity, and the teachers I've talked to, you combine that with the unions have all these nonsensical, crazy stuff they do and put in. Like right now, they're shutting down some of our schools in Minnesota so they can go protest. The teachers can go protest. This is bizarre.
Yeah.
But now, imagine a class, you're teaching a class. And back in the day, if you had problem students, or maybe they're slow or whatever, you get them out of your class, and so that other students, you're not holding everybody back and you're learning stuff. Okay, so you combine this problem where it's the red tape you would have to go to get them removed from the class. You would stand out like a sore thumb. It'd be the worst thing you ever did in history. So you not only have that, but then you have the unions putting in curriculum, and school board members that are putting in curriculum that isn't reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's transgender, all this craziness, because they go over the top, and this is what's going on. So I think it was over time. And remember, we've been blue since 1972. And we're the only state that didn't vote for Reagan because our candidate was from Minnesota.
Yeah, VP.
But knowing that is we are not a red state. I know that from knowing the election data. Okay, we are. We are not a blue state.
Blue state.
We are purple at best. We might even be red. I believe we were. I believe we won that Donald Trump won Minnesota in 2016 and 2020, and 2020 for sure. And
I saw a Survey USA poll, for what it's worth, in December, and found Waltz with a 48-48 approval spread, meaning they said he legit could have still won a third term. And I just what do people there see in him? Like, from afar, you looked at him on the national stage, there's something off there. Right. And all the stuff that we're seeing with fraud, like, how has this guy gotten interlocked? Keith Ellison, same way. Jacob Fry, all of them are just
the Minnesota media. I'm telling you, it's the Minnesota media. If this was, I'll tell you, and it's media in general. I'm going to tell you all, one of the two, where we're at now and where we were at 5 years ago, this is the most important thing you're going to hear. 5 years ago, on January 7th and 8th, two of the most important days in the history of not just here, but probably the world. On those 2 days, January 7th and 8th of 2021, 1.2 million Americans and other places around the world, Australia, other places too, were deplatformed on Vimeo, YouTube, Suckerbucks, Facebook, Jack Dorsey's crooked Twitter. I mean, these platforms, you were deplatformed and completely canceled if you spoke out about the election, the vaccine, or even Jesus Christ, if you spoke for Jesus Christ. Now, the other people didn't say anything because they were afraid because of what had just happened on January 6th. So I compare this. When I grew up, Mike, back in the day, I had black and white TVs, and as kids, we turned them off, and they went down to a little tiny dot.
I remember.
Right before the dot went out, we'd turn it back on, and it would all come back to life.
Yeah.
That dot, everybody, was our voice. Remember, Parler was the only competition. They got wiped off the face of the earth on January, I believe it was 8th. So, and our president lost 100 million followers on Twitter. Yeah. They went to cancel our voice for good. But they didn't cancel. They didn't. That little light came back to life. What I did personally, I started my own network, LindellTV.com to this day. Now, I mean, I'm going, we're going to lose our voice forever. We got to make our own. So I spent millions.
That's where Steve Bannon is. War Room is there, and
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
We have a representative we have a representative in the White House, the Pentagon, and the Capitol.
Congresswoman Pelosi.
Can you tell me, this is one of yours too? I love this clip, Mike.
Yeah, this is.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
And that looked right there.
That's Allison. I have my three gals that are at all three places. That's Allison Steinbeck. She's so awesome. And you guys, Lindell TV has grown and grown and grown. By the way, we're publicly traded at MLMC, Mike Lindell Media Corp. We're publicly traded, and we're getting bigger every day. Mayor Rudy Giuliani has a show, Emerald Robinson, myself, and it's 24/7 TV that you need to, where you're getting real news and you're seeing that in live, real things live. Yeah. They happen live, everybody. It's amazing.
It's so obvious to me watching that. Nancy Pelosi is pissed right there because she's not used to media people asking her real questions.
Right on.
That's what she's not used to. She cannot believe someone is asking her a non-prepared question.
Right. And this brings up what I was saying. Our voice didn't go out. So now where we're at now. Now, if this stuff had went on in Minnesota right now, and all this stuff, you know what? The fraud and everything, it would not get out there nationally because back then it was suppress. Minnesota media still tries to do this, but we're too big. Think of all the social media platforms. You have Elon's X now rather than Jack Dorsey's Twitter.
Yep.
Zuckerberg's Facebook is still pretty bad, but you have Getter, Gab, Truth Social, my own platform, Vocal Social. You have Telegram, Instagram, all these things out there now where people can spread the word via social media, and you have great podcasts that have sprung up like your own here.
Thank you.
That it's just where everybody puts out the word, and you can pick and choose where you're getting your information from. You don't have to watch Fox News, CNN, and that traditional media, and you don't have to be brainwashed by your local media. So This is what's changed. So now you take this now, this will all be exposed. This is where evil overplayed its hand the last 5 years because they think, well, hey, if we do this, take me for instance, if we cancel Mike Lindell and destroy MyPillow and take away all his box stores and talk to his vendors, cancel him, debank him, do all this, he'll shut up. Nobody could withstand this. Either that or we'll just bankrupt the guy.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. By the grace of God, it did not work. I'm still saying
I've met a lot of your employees, and they're people that have been with you forever. When you talk to them one-on-one, they tell amazing stories about you and what you mean to them and what the company means to them. It really is special. Did at any point when this was going on, did any of them come to you and go, Mike, we got to tone it down. You're killing me here. Like, were they worried about getting into the fight? When you get blocked on Twitter,
right? I had board members that left. They were very leftist on the board, and they left. And but all my employees, they had to put up with a lot of phone calls. My call center. I have my own call center. Getting hate, but that seemed to subside. As evil knows, knew I was never giving up. It kind of just, well, he's not giving up. We just we don't need to bother. But my employees, I kept it separate. I didn't, like, when I was out shouting about the machine companies and stuff, that's me as an employee. MyPillow is an employee-owned company too. I just have the most stock, and none of them came to me and said, there was a few that left that were, like I say, very far leftist. One was a few very bad people. Kind of weeded out the bad people, right? That they're going, hey, you should stop this. I hate you. They were, they had, all of a sudden they hated me. They've grown me in my whole life. I've done everything for them. And now they hate me because what? Because I happen to back a president I believe in.
Yeah.
And I also, I want to secure our elections. Just because you don't know. And what I would say to people, and I would say to a couple of employees that did leave, but there was just a few saying, do you think I'm stupid? I said, I built the company from scratch. I said, I didn't just change. If you knew what I knew, you would fight too, because we won't have a company anyway. We won't have a country if we did, and this is, I can't unsee what I've seen. You can see people like Tina Peters that's in prison for 9 years. She could have said to that judge, she could have said, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong about the machines and about the corruption. I won't say another word. And she would have got zero, everybody.
Yeah.
This is for me. I've had the machine companies come to me and say, hey, we'll do a walk away if you never talk about us again. No, we got to get rid of you. You go make blenders. You do whatever you got to do, but you do not make electronic machines and put them in our voting system with our voting systems.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, I have a great group. I wouldn't be here without the grace of God and our faith, and also with the team I've had. You have careers at My Pillow, and they've been fighting. Just keep going and keeping the faith, and now they're at a point where, like I say, I can run for governor and know that they'll be safe. My son's taken over as running the company, and my great team. I couldn't do it without them, and they've been here for none of them went anywhere.
Yeah. So, back in the day, when they canceled you the most, I mean, it was everywhere. I think they went after your banking. But it's kind of weird because the media loved Mike Lindell.
Yeah.
The news organizations loved My Pillow. You guys spent a shitload of money in advertising, and you were all over CNN. Like, that had to be tough for them to lose your money.
Well, here's the thing too. The box stores, everybody, we're the number one selling product in history of a $50 product, $50 product at Walmart. The number one buy through of any product.
Yeah.
Kohl's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Costco, all of them, My Pillow, QVC, HSN, all of them. We didn't get canceled because they had to make a decision. Oh, gee, should we cancel them? Boy, they're our number one selling product. And we love Mike Lindell, all the philanthropy that My Pillow did.
Mike, when you would walk
millions of dollars to hurricane victims, millions of dollars. We were the American dream. But they decided that they would cancel.
When I walked into, I'd be in Northern California, and I'd walk into one of the big box stores. When you walked in the door, the very first thing there was the My Pillow stand,
right?
And it had all the whole display. That's what you walked in California, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, this product can't even be sold. When I remember being in your warehouse and seeing semi trucks as far as the eye could see. Going off
85 million My Pillows we've sold, and everybody, we were as big on CNN as we were on Fox News back in the day, MSNBC, every station, ABC, CBS, NBC, and when they canceled. But remember, it wasn't just them that canceled. Of all the box stores too, they just all canceled, and then they wanted Mike Lindell to shut up.
Yeah,
don't talk about our elections. And you found out where the enemies of the people. Walmart, I'll give you an example. Walmart, when they waited a year before they canceled us, they waited till it was the spring of 22, and they canceled us. And I had a copy of Hunter Biden's laptop. And on Lindell TV, when they canceled us, we played that because the chairman of the board at Walmart it was a conversation between him and Hunter Biden and they were talking about how do we take this election from Donald Trump. I played it for 40 minutes. I don't care. My lawyers are going, can you play it? I go, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, you think stuff like that would have got national attention back then, but the media suppressed that. They would suppress anything I did.
Insane.
Walmart, shame on Walmart for doing that. And Walmart, and then I put out all the products they've stolen from entrepreneurs and make them in China and bring them into Walmart. These were problems we have in big retail, everybody, and taking somebody's great invention and you go make it in China and bring it into a Walmart and everybody's thinking, oh, Walmart's perfect. So I could sit and badmouth all day long. What are you going to do? Keep suing me? I don't care. People need to know these things.
Well,
it was disgusting.
It led to one of the funniest clips ever the lumpy pillows.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking about the lumpy pillow calls.
No, they're not lumpy pillows. That's not what they call on. Okay? That when you say lumpy pillows, now you're an asshole. You got that? You're an asshole,
Mike,
is what you are.
Mike,
No,
sorry.
he's an asshole.
No,
He's
it's
an
not-
ambulance chasing asshole. That's what you are. The lumpy pillows, kiss my ass. Put that in your book. No, they answer anything, any problem.
You get the point.
Yeah. And that was a
dude,
deposition, everybody. That was a deposition being attacked with lawfare by a voting machine company. And these lawyers sitting there started bad mouthing my product and my employees. And it takes a lot for me. And then they thought they leaked that out to the media, thinking it would destroy me. Oh, here's this Christian, born again Christian that said the word asshole.
Yeah.
Well, that's how mad I was. I protect my product and my employees. And that went viral, so it backfired on him. I'm sorry, it backfired. Now my wife didn't like that. She goes, that's why did you swear and all this? I'm going, you know what? Why did he attack my company? What is wrong with these people that the attack on my pillow and my employees? It was disgusting.
Yeah, they do that. It's funny. It just made me remember when I was really young. I used to film depositions. So if someone was being deposed and they had to go to court, a doctor or something, and they couldn't be there, I would go in, film it, and the two lawyers would be one on either side of me, and that's what I would see is them being jerks. And I was sitting there one day, and I would just take notes, timestamps, so when I would play it in a courtroom, they know, and I'm just doodling, not paying any attention, and I just write asshole on my notepad, and the one lawyer sees it and busts out laughing, and the guy that was being an asshole is demanding to know what it was, and she never sold me out, but yeah, that's how they behave, that's how they work. And I was a 19-year-old kid, and it was just like, this guy's a jerk.
Yeah,
and he's doing this.
These depositions, I either get my lawyers say I either get an A+ or an F. Well, I'm telling you what, I sat there, and then the guy goes, the judge is going to see this. And I looked right in the screen. I said, good for her. I got a big problem with the judge. And I called her out because the judge had not made a decision for a dismissal or not. And it would have ruined our country. You don't wait 10 months. Somebody that didn't have money and they got to spend the money on all these depositions. That's when you file for a dismissal, it's like you weren't even there. And I had filed for my dismissal of this frivolous case, but the judge said, no, you got to go spend all this money. So I looked right in the camera and said, I got a big problem with you, Judge.
Yeah.
And these guys are going, wow, boy, we're really going to get them. Well, everybody, my pillow won in May. My pillow was 100% vindicated. And by the way, everybody, yesterday, the $5 million when the media put out, Mike Lindell's evidence is no good. This guy wins $5 million challenge. It was all over the news for almost a year. It came out at the perfect time for them when they canceled everybody. But yesterday, he had brought it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court threw it out and said, don't even bring us this. Mike's right.
Yeah.
Bingo. That's
nice.
it. It was beautiful. It happened yesterday.
Congratulations. I didn't even realize that. I know it was going through the appeals process. Yeah. That's incredible, man. That's incredible. Well, it's gotta be kind of, and I know we've got limited time here, but what is it like to wake up in the morning or be watching late night TV and see your face on Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert or
It's been surreal. I guess that would be the word, everybody. It's just been surreal. You think you froze up there.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. Sorry, buddy.
It's to answer the question. It's been very surreal. Back in the day, if you read my book, I had my biggest fear was public speaking. I couldn't talk to people in the same room. And
really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you read my book, What Are the Odds from Crack Addicts to CEO? My fear was just speaking, and it was. I found out later. I thought I just didn't like small talk or fear of crowds or whatever, but it was fear of rejection. You don't get rejected if you don't talk, and I explained all this in my book, and now it's what I see it out there. I feel becoming friends with our great president. Him and I have one thing there. It's like what they can do all they can to hurt us, but to hurt me, but. It doesn't matter.
What is your relationship? What's your relationship with Donald Trump like today?
very good friends. When we talk, it's usually like you would talk to a friend. We had, that developed over the last 5 years, and one of the things is, in marketing, he would ask me, like, I'll give an example of what, this was the summer before last. We're sitting there, him and I was trying to tell him, I said, I always tell him that God has, it's on God's timing and stuff, and not on our timing. But anyway, we're sitting there talking. He goes, Mike, they're just destroying the country. And I said, sir, these are all things that they're actually good things. And he looks at me and says, what do you mean they're good things? I said, people are pouring, and there's two buckets going on. And one bucket is your bucket, sir. As these things, as you keep getting indicted and they keep attacking, people are pouring into your bucket, and they don't leave your bucket. That's the bucket of common sense. And I said, another bucket's going on is the bucket for God, for Jesus Christ. I said, people don't look to God when things are going good. They look to God when things are going bad. And he looked at me and he said, but Mike, we get in there, I don't know if we can get it all fixed in 4 years. It's getting so bad. And I looked at him and I said, sir, with God, all things are possible. And him working through you, you'll get it done faster and better than anyone. And look what he's done. And we became, it's like, I like the fact that we talk as friends, and and we look at things from a bigger picture. Like he'll say, what's the public thinking out there? What's the public thinking? And I would have I look down the road, and so does he. He's an amazing gift. People don't realize his sense of humor is he's so funny, but he's just so down to earth. And he's a great listener. He'll listen to stuff in a room with people, take it all in, and then make decisions like a CEO should for running our country. And I'm just very blessed to be able to be a friend of his, and to have his ear on things.
Do you think he'll endorse you for your governor run in Minnesota?
Here's what he did. He already did a shout out. I told him in August I was thinking of running. I said, Kendra and I, my wife, we have to pray about it. And I said, my pillow's got to be secure, so I can go. When I do something, I go all in 100%. I will never back off. I will win. That's what I feel.
Mike, I've said really quick, that's what made you the crackhead you were. You're the same guy. All in. Whether it's crack addiction, running a bar, running a pillow company.
Right, I'm all in, baby.
All in.
I'm still standing, and my slogan for governor is, and I will stand for you. That's MikeLindellGov.com, everybody, too. We need help now. Right now, we're doing campaigns every day leading up to February 3rd, the first straw poll. But the president did do a shout out, and I'm going to tell you, I called him 3 days before I announced, and I didn't call him to get his endorsement. I wanted to let him know I was never going to go to him and say, hey, if you endorse me, I'll run. No, I wanted him to know I'm 100% all in. I'm committed to winning and saving Minnesota and helping people live lives, live the American dream like I've lived. And and I think it meant a lot to him. About a week later, he came out and said, it was at a rally thing. He says, and look, Mike Lindell is running for governor of Minnesota, and he deserves to be governor. And people are going, oh, he endorsed it. I said, that's not an endorsement. I want him to endorse the person that's the best equipped for the job. Do I believe I'm that person? Yes. But if there's something else that comes up where that wouldn't be the case, for something that I wouldn't know about, I would want him to do what's best for the country, not what's best for Mike Lindell.
Well, when you go back all those years, it wasn't Mike Lindell that reached out to Donald Trump. It was Donald Trump that reached out to Mike Lindell. That's
correct. Yeah.
That's how you met him originally, I believe.
Yeah. It was a divine appointment, August 15, 2016. And it's in my book, everybody. It was just surreal. They said, whatever you do, you're not going to meet him alone. And whatever you do, don't tell him you were a crack addict. Well, a bunch of divine things happened. And I walked into his office. It was just him and I. First thing he said, Mike, you always wear your cross on TV. Are you a Christian? I said, yes, Mr. Trump. And this is a divine appointment. And then we didn't even get into it. Maybe 2 minutes into it, I said, yeah, I used to be a crack addict. And I kind of looked at him like that. and I said, I'm going to have the Lindell Recovery Network.org. I'm going to help people, addicts, get to Jesus and get to God. And then he was saying, I'm going to stop the drugs pouring in if I'm, get to be president. And he didn't say get to be president. He always had attitude. He's going to win. But anyway, we talked for about 40 minutes one-on-one. And it was all about him wanting to know here's this guy from Minnesota, this ex-addict, reached out to me with this made in the USA products. And his biggest thing was, how is it working for you? Is it good? The manufacturing, he wanted to take in that info, never asked me for $1 for the campaign, never asked me to endorse him. And I walked out of there and I said to my wife, I go, wow, I had never voted in my life. I didn't think politics mattered. I was, I was an addict. I didn't think, and I walked out of there though, and we questioned a lot of his employees, my wife and I. I said, is this real? Every one of them said, great boss, great person. And they had a personal story, how he had helped them and with no strings attached. And I thought that was so great. I got back to Minnesota and I put out a press release against my board's advice. I go, we're going to lose half our bid. I go, why would we lose that? I didn't understand. I didn't know about politics. And so I put the press release out, and I was the media's darling back then. Mike, how many more addicts are you hiring? How many more veterans are you hiring? How much money are you going to give to, millions of dollars to help Teen Challenge, Salvation Army, all these places? And I put the press release out, didn't even tell that we talked about, just say I met with Donald Trump, and I was attacked viciously by Minnesota media. The Star and Tribune attacked me. In fact, I think they called me the biggest drug dealer in this Minneapolis. I never dealt a drug in my life. I tried to rid Minneapolis of drugs by doing them all. That was the joke. But they had to do it. They had to do an apology, and it scared me. I'm going, why are they attacking me? That was the first time I was ever attacked by the media viciously. So I had good training over the last. Now, as they attack me and I get the word out, I've made friends with so many of the people on the left that are journalists that they're torn when they write their horrible articles or do their thing. So I have to actually tell them to bash me more or their bosses won't print it. And you got to follow it.
No, I do. It's got to be disturbing though. Seeing the reaction to Charlie Kirk's death was horrifying. It was evil. It feels demonic. Is what it feels.
It is demonic. This is a battle we're in of good and evil, and you hit the nail on the head. And this is when you asked me earlier why I'm running for governor. There's a proverb I have, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge Him, and He will guide your path. Now I was going down some pretty bad paths. So every day I get in the Word, and I'm going to tell you. Here's another thing, Mike. You talk about. When people look at things, I see people all the time. And when I spoke from the Rose Garden that time and said, God had been taken out of our schools. A nation had turned its back on God. We need to get back in our Bibles and back with our families and pray for God's grace. And I see people these last few years, and they're going, 4 years ago, Mike, this doesn't feel like grace. I prayed that this would happen, that maybe you prayed that Donald Trump would get back in right away, or they would tell me all this. And I said, oh, but this is grace. I said, those prayers you're making are reactionary prayers. I used to do that all the time in jail. God, get me out of here. I'll never do it again. Right.
Yeah.
And it might not be God's will or God's timing, everybody. So what I do every day, and where is God's will? God's will is in the Word. So every day my wife and I get up, read the Bible, spend time praying, get in the Word. And then let me tell you, you can be proactive in prayer and they line up beautifully. And you can have a peace. This is why I can have a peace every day that I'm going down the right path, doing the right thing, and that all these bad things out there, that I can only do my part. We all have callings, everybody, and we all, and everybody to do their part, and even if that's just praying that we get through this, I believe we will. I believe this we will get through this, and it'll be absolutely amazing. We're going to get way out here to this beautiful place, and we're going to look back and say, wow, if all that didn't happen, even the bad, and maybe especially the bad, we wouldn't get to that great place. So I just want people to give everybody a message to keep the faith. And
I hope you're right, man. It's a beautiful message, but the Charlie Kirk reaction, we're going to see it again. I just saw that Scott Adams passed away today. I'm sure you knew Scott. And I'm sure that'll be celebrated. And it's just, it makes me angry. I get mad, and I know that's probably not the reaction you should have, but it's infuriating. I know they'd celebrate your death. I know it would have been a global celebration if Trump would have been murdered in Butler, PA. It's just, it's a sad state, man. And I'm, it's hard to stay like, okay, there's more to this. It's going to
Right.
get better. There's a way out. I hope you're right.
Well, there has to be, or people lose faith and lose hope. When like me running for governor in Minnesota, I'm going to send a message out of hope because like just in Minnesota, 250,000 people voted for Trump that voted for Trump in 2020 didn't even bother and vote in 2022 because they just feel, oh, it's hopeless in Minnesota, hopeless. Well, like I said before, with God, all things are possible. I'm going to get to them people. We got one shot at this. These midterms, everybody across this country, is the most important election now in history. Okay,
Yeah.
I've said, but
Yeah.
the overall, the most important election ever will be looked back on. It will be the 2020 election. Why? Because it opened people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is what opens people's eyes. But this one coming up, we're at a turning point here, and we have to win this. And then if we do lose, I've looked at that too. If it gets stole, let's say it gets stole, well, maybe that's what it'll take again to really open things up and secure our elections. We don't know. We don't know. All we can do is bring people, do everything we can do, and keep the faith and bring people hope.
Yeah. Well, it would be. It's rare. It's rare for a party in power to win the midterms. That it just doesn't happen. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I don't know how many people know just how important that is. This will be right back to lawfare, impeachments. It'll
be like playing a kid where you played Chutes and Ladders all the way back to the thing, or
Yeah.
Monopoly, or Monopoly. Don't pass go. Go directly to jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this will be everything that could be done. Maybe we'll see, and we'll have to. Only God knows the future, but we can certainly plan for hope and plan for that and keep the faith.
Well, I'll wrap with this, Mike. I think you're. It's an amazing story. You've got the company you've built, the stuff you've gone through and fought through. It's not easy. I know how hard it is to stand up to people constantly attacking you. I can't even imagine what that's like on a national level. But I've always said with Trump, I'd rather have someone that has been through the fire and has built the business running things than some stupid community organizer, career protester running things. And that's what it feels like has taken these seats of power are a bunch of community organizers and protesters, and they'd love nothing more than it feels like just destroy this country. And so I wish you luck, Mike. You've been so generous with your time. I adore your staff. They've always been amazing for 8 years since I've met you. MyPillow.com. I wish the prices would go up a little bit. It's hard to make a return with the prices as low as they are, but you guys keep going. MikeLindellGov.com. They've done everything they can to bankrupt this man. So if he's going to have a shot, he's going to need people's help. Chipping in a few bucks helps, I'm sure.
Yeah. MikeLindellGov.com, everybody. And this is the most important month. I have a great plan to win. And if you go there and you can support right now, this is I want to get the primary out of the way so I can go head to head and win the state. And I've got, if you heard today, I've got a great solutions. And this is a national thing. Because as Minnesota's going to go, I believe we're at the tip of the spear. We've got to win right here and change it right here and start from right into the eye of the hurricane. So
yeah,
I will tell you, I will never back down. I will stand and I will do 18 hours a day to win this and get it done. So
well, congratulations, man. I can't wait to talk to you again down the road, and we'll keep our eye on Minnesota and how it's going. And thank you so much for your time, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. God bless you all.
God bless, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. The great Mike Lindell.